Welcome, welcome.
Hello. Happy Thursday. Tricked ya, Art and Tea peeps.
You get 2 days of us.
Busy week over here. Hello. Welcome.
I will be helping out in the chat. So if you have questions that come up, feel free to put that in there and say hello.
Hello. Definitely let us know where you're coming from and if you are new to Taking Up Space or TTN, we would love to know that.
Hi, so I'm in Amsterdam and I'm new. I came to the last call. What is it? Let's see, I didn't even know if it was a month ago or a couple weeks ago.
Well, we're happy you're here. Welcome.
Welcome, Daniela. All right, friends, I am going to share my screen and we're going to walk you through this presentation, which shouldn't take too long. And then we will have time for questions at the end. Again, use the chat. Jamie is kind of keeping an eye on that and monitoring it a little bit. For some reason, I can never see it when I am recording a session. I don't know why. Anyway, we're glad you're here. Thank you. Thank you. This is the Taking Up Space information session brought to you by the Thrive Together Network. And the Thrive Together Network is co-hosted by myself, Kaylin Butine. I'm an artist in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and my lovely co-host,
Jamie Smith, and I am in Vancouver, Canada on the West Coast. And we actually, Taking Up Space is how Kaylin and I started working together. We ran 2 separate communities and decided to do this big idea Kaylin had. What if we had members do art shows all over the world in their communities? And so we kind of banded together to put this idea together. And well, over 80 art shows happened in the month of May in 2022. So this is our 2nd year and we're really excited.
Absolutely. So TUS is a grassroots and global initiative of empowered artists, and we all join together, as Jamie mentioned, and we exhibit our art in or close to around the month of May, and the 2023 shows are coming right up. It's already December, so May 2023 is not too far away.
Not to scare you, you still have lots of time.
Yeah.
Still can do it. We are ahead of the game. We are our poor community, our wonderful members last year. We threw this at everyone at the end of January, and this is much more organized. So we really want artists to come together. We want you to put art shows on your own terms, take space up in your community in your own terms. And the idea is to build, networking and promotional skills along the way, to learn how to organize shows. Kaylin and I really, debated, should we host a group show? And we thought of these ideas and we thought, no, because what we want to provide is actually more of training and a mindset that you can go out in your community and do this. And there's a lot of gatekeepers in the art world, and we kind of are saying no to that. So it is a rebellious act. It's an act of activism by doing this, and it's to be seen and taking up space in your own community.
Absolutely. And it really matters to us, this idea of you all, flexing these muscles and facilitating your own shows. It matters because female and non-binary artists remain drastically underrepresented in the art world. As Jamie mentioned, there are gatekeepers that are kind of keeping us in place. And many artists feel disempowered by these gatekeepers. We kind of are always feeling like we have to wait for somebody to find us or for somebody to give us an opportunity. And we really want the artists in our community to feel empowered rather than disempowered. We want you to feel like you can make things happen for yourself. And those efforts, no matter what place you are in your career, if you're a beginning artist, if you're an emerging artist, mid-career, more developed artist, it's, I think this program is still relevant and really powerful no matter what stage in your career you're at.
So yeah, we'd love to know, there's already some people in the chat who, did a show in 2022, and, the less organized version that we gave you, it still was amazing. So in the chat, we'd love to know what was positive about this experience and how has Tusk helped you since. And if anyone wants to speak, there's a little raise your hand button. And if you raise your hand, we'd love to hear you unmute and tell us. I thought I'd start just so that if anyone does want to say anything, you have time to think about it. But I did a solo show last year in May, and by having this due date of it happening and, community around me, but also that meant accountability, I had to declare it and do it. And it was a huge learning experience. I had only put together group shows in the past, so this was really putting myself out there. And I have, the pictures from that show that then allowed me to repackage that for applications and for opportunities. And yeah, I just feel like the biggest thing with taking up space was this sort of due date and this communal time that it was happening. There was a real buzz, which is so different than in the past when I put on a show by myself. It's like, great. But by having, this feeling that I was doing this with a lot of other people all over the world made a huge difference to me to be like brave and do that show. So it was huge. And I know, Kaylin, you did a group show that has impacted you as well.
Yes. So, by the way, I think to raise your hand, you hit the 3 dots, or no, it's at the control feature at the bottom. Is it 3 dots down there? How do you raise your hand?
It's reactions on my laptop.
Reactions. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
at the bottom.
or just tell us in the chat if you would like to unmute and we'll kind of call on you. Thank you for answering that. So yeah, so I put on, I really helped facilitate a group show in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And, one of the reasons that I wanted to do a group show is because I wanted to meet more artists in my area. That was kind of like my goal. This is another thing that we love about taking up space, is that it can be connected to a specific goal that you have, right? Jamie had a goal of wanting to, get beautiful images of a solo show of her work for a specific grant application. I wanted to meet more artists who live in my community and build relationships with them and network with them. So I opted for a group show. So yeah, just like that's part of kind of the flexibility of this. And I loved that experience. And that group is doing another group show in 2023 for taking up space. We're basically doing the same format, but we just, our theme last year was water connects us, and our city is going through a lot of changes right now. And so our title this year is called Change Connects Us. So the work is kind of about transformation and change. So it's cool to kind of see how like things can evolve and have a different iteration, but still have that structure in place of the way that we did it the first time.
And Jen in the chat said that her open call, so she did 2 shows with another network member, and the open call got her connected to the community and then led to paying jobs later in the year through that, which is great. And then Tara says, having a deadline to finish the work really helped, as well as got to meet local artists, which is a huge plus. So we're going to talk more about this, but really picking something in May that's going to really fulfill a goal you have or something that you've wanted to do. This is sort of that push, that nudge, that gentle leap over the abyss to do it. So.
All right. So again, as we mentioned, there is no one way to host a Tusk show. There's lots of ideas that are out there that you might have. There's lots of different ranges of energy and resources that we are all going to have. So really, one of the things that I love most about this project, that it is grassroots, that it's like, you know, kind of run by the people who are participating in it, is that there is going to be this diversity of what these shows look like. And that is like the point. That's part of the beauty of it. So you could have a garage pop-up in your neighborhood. You could have a solo show in a forest. That was on
Happen.
that happened I keep wanting to say last year. It was this year, 2022.
Yeah.
You could have a virtual collaboration from, maybe you're in North America and you have a friend, say in India. Like I know there were two artists who did that, a San Diego based artist and an artist, Aprajita in India, did a virtual exhibition together. You could have a group show in a warehouse, like I know some of our Pittsburgh artists did. You could have a show to connect with new art friends, which is what I shared that mine, was doing. So the locations and the purposes can really be as unique as the artists in our community.
So last year, what we do as well is, so the shows all happen in the month of May, and then we asked a few artists that we knew were doing different things to be spotlighted in our weekly sessions, Art and Tea. So in the month of May, it's really nice. We take time to actually see each other's work and see what's happening in that month. So this show that was put on was Touch and Go. And there's 4 artists here that put this on. So it was a way for them to connect. In the next slide, just some pictures from the show. So, these were artists that had never worked together and used this as an opportunity to put their art together. And it was really, really beautiful. So they walked us through this, and I'll take this one.
You can take all these.
I can take that. I know about this one. So this was my show. I did Mother Time in May. And I had really wanted to push myself to do a solo show that was based in a really personal concept. So this show is all about my fertility journey. And so I put a lot of time and resources into it, but I really wanted it to, be a piece that I could then apply and use for applications. So that was a huge goal for me. This year, I will tell you, I'm going to be doing a group show because this was so much work. But it was awesome.
So Holding Space was another show that 9 artists had. They actually did 2 exhibitions. I'm not sure why or how it came that they did 2. I think from what I remember, somebody in the area kind of heard about the collective and offered them an additional space. I'm not sure. So I think one of you, I saw Stephanie's on the call. She's here today. Either way, why not have 2 shows? It's amazing that you guys did 2 shows, but this, really what TUS did was like brought these artists together who were all in the Philly area. Michelle, I know you're here today. Some of you had never met each other, and it's like it gave you this reason to like come together and form friendship and have accountability and like share resources with each other. So that's one of the things that I love about doing group shows in this initiative. Here are some images of one of the exhibitions that this group put on. And then I'll take April's. So April LaSure is another amazing artist in our community. And April, did a solo show like Jamie, but she did it in her own studio. So wasn't this around the time that she opened her new studio, Jamie?
So this show really acted as a renovation date, and
Yeah,
really helped
that's right.
her husband get into gear.
Yeah, because they built
because
this
the
little
day-
pod studio.
Yeah. So they, built this, and then she did an open studio. And one, a huge reason of including this is it was just like an amazing opportunity for her to show her work, but also know that, this is not, you do not have to rent a gallery space. You do
Right.
not have to find a formal space. One member, I don't know if she's here today, but Nicole, this opportunity, she literally went to the coffee shop down the block, ordered her coffee, and said very meekly, "Would you ever show art here?" And the guy was like, "I'll ask the manager." And right then the manager comes over and says, "Sure." And she's like, "Okay." And she had a show there, and it was awesome. And it was, she said, I never would have done it without being, and she got to say to him, I'm a part of this initiative. I'm a part of this thing that's happening
Right.
all in the month of May, which people want to be, they really want to support something that they're a part of, right?
Yeah, so exactly piggybacking off what Jamie is saying, like the whole point is that this should connect you with a goal that you have. So maybe you are, wanting to do that for a solo show. Maybe that's a goal that you have. Well, that solo show, like what are then the resources that you have? Maybe it's just you clear out your whole studio and you make your studio your gallery, and like that's where you do your solo show, right? Maybe you find a place to have your solo show, but connecting it with that goal. Maybe it's meeting more artists in your area. Maybe you need just the accountability and motivation of this deadline to finish a new body of work, right? And then you host your show virtually. Maybe you're just like, I just want a little creative side project. I don't want this to be too much pressure. And you could do something like have a little open call for like 1 by 1 inch pieces of art and do a fridge exhibition, like hang them all on the front of your fridge. Like I think of Elaine Luther in our community who has like a micro gallery, right? Like you could do, and you really never know what connections kind of can come from just doing this little project or a big project, right? Whatever it is. But the point is that it should connect to your passions, your desires, and your goals for your art in 2023.
And a big thing about doing this project last year is, I think I can speak for both of us, Kaylin, like we were blown away with what happened and the growth for ourselves personally, but also the stories we heard from members and the shows that we saw, and spotlighted. So we have just launched this week our kind of baby, our brainchild, and that is a guide, a map for all of 2023. So our programming is basically spend 2023 with us, and we think you're going to thrive is what we really believe. And in this workbook that we're going to follow throughout the whole year, it's really a plan for your art career with a community accountability to support the plan. So that is stuff like this with you all showing up here today. And what we decided to do was really take TUS to the next level and build it right into our year. Because a thing that Kaylin and I talk about a lot is when you're on your own making art and we're trying very hard on all fronts, and it's really important to have these sort of due dates and these goals to push the work out of the studio and feel purposeful about it. So what will happen in January, that is the time to, commit to the show happening. Right now you're learning about it. Some of us, we're already doing it, already figuring out spaces, but to commit. And then February, we do the community art residency. And so that is a month dedicated to studio work. For me, last year, without us like really planning it, that February was, I made the bulk of the work for my show. I needed that month. So we're like, okay, we gotta really keep, that's gonna be a big part of this. March, we're gonna have our CRIP program happen. And the idea, which we love, is that you've made the art in February. March, you're gonna get feedback and keep tweaking it. April, you're getting prep for that show. And then May, you're showing that work. So the whole idea is that it's really built in to support you. And then we have another residency in the fall. And, with planning for the next year, that idea is that you're potentially prepping this work in the fall, you're getting your space set up, and you're doing it again in the May. So we're trying to create a rhythm
of life. It's the circle of life.
Basically, Kaylin and I are living in 2028 right now, okay? And we have all these plans for you guys, so.
Here's just a spread of what the map looks like. When you become a member, you get a digital download of the full 132-page map. But we do have hard copies for sale that we definitely highly recommend our members purchase. These are at an additional cost just because, the cost of getting a 130-page book printed. But there is, all of, again, like kind of bringing you back to your goals, your intentions. What do you want to do with your work in 2023? How can TUS and the network help support that, right? Like there are goal setting sheets right in the map that connect to all of this stuff. And we also included the taking up space information in the map, whether you end up doing a TUS show or not. Just seeing like what it could look like to put on an art show in 5 months and what are some of the things you need to be thinking about and doing, right? Your whole checklist is here. There's an art show checklist where you can just think about the different things that you need to bring when you're putting on an art show. And then there's, just some additional resources included throughout the map and throughout the rhythm that we'll be going through as a community that really tie all of this in and keep you accountable.
And last year we created, this was sort of how we started TUS, was creating a course. Both Kayla and I really believe in learning these things and being, self-sufficient as artists and really making sure we understand what goes into showing our work. Even if you're working with a gallery, I think knowing these things are super important. So essentially on the network, and some of you have all, used these resources, but we've really packed it with like templates. So there's a whole promotional calendar and structure. This year we've added, the landing page on our website, as well as pre-written information, so that if you are looking for a space, you can send out a letter to galleries, to spaces, and say, I'm part of Taking Up Space. It's a global initiative. I need a show during the month of May. And I will tell you, like, that is very powerful and people want to be a part of that.
Yep.
So, yeah, that is all there, and that's on the network under courses. You can find that, and it's really like drag and drop, like you use what you need, and it's all, but we want to have it laid out for you.
I will say too that the course on the network is your place to connect with other people doing TUS shows. So it's your place to say, I got this email back, like, what do you guys think? To kind of get feedback, to encourage each other. When you complete something on the checklist, like you're welcome to pop on there and say, I just designed my flyer for my show. Like I'm feeling proud of it. Anybody else got this done yet or whatever? So it's also it's your place for resources and the information from Jamie and I, but it's also your place to connect with other members as well. So just a couple quotes that we wanted to share from last year and some more images. Making it happen. I made something happen that would not have happened without the push from TUS. It made me think about how I can share my work in different ways other than brick and mortar spaces. I love this idea of like also just breaking out of art. Art can be experienced more than just the white box gallery, right? And that is also part of this initiative, is like, what are other places that we can show our work and get creative about that?
And it was great to have, this is how we do it, to get organized and follow through. As for me, it has been so long since I have done a solo show. Not only was it difficult to know where to start, but even wrap my head around the to-dos. Yes, we have outlined all the to-dos for you, I will say. The TUS initiative was a great leaping point forward. And in the chat, Rasia just said that, connecting with others on the network during this time was really helpful. And I do think there's something special about doing this together, because that you're not alone in it. Even when you're sending out emails, try to get people to come to your show, it can kind of feel lonely and like, does anyone even care? But that there's also all these other artists doing this at the same time, which is, I think, really, it helps me.
So some key dates to be aware of. We did have an early commitment in November 1st, but all that meant was that if you already know that you're doing a TUS show and you've started lining things up, here's the commitment form. That commitment form is still open and available. It's on the network in the TUS course. And that is where you kind of want to like register your show and, say like, I'm committing to this. The program officially begins in terms of the timeline that we've set out with to-do lists and, what you kind of want to be mindful of and start doing. The 17th of January, that is the first Tuesday that we're back after holiday break, the first Art and Tea. So that's kind of where we've picked as our program beginning date. And then your official commitments are due. Well, I guess that registration form that we talked about is closing on January 24th. So that is kind of where you're like, your final deadline of, am I doing this or not? Am I committing to this or not? That's when you want to, you know, get that commitment form in. And then April 11th, we will open up a different Google form, which will be basically turned into a spreadsheet that generates all of the information about the exhibitions that are happening so that we can go and say, okay, there's 2 shows happening in Pittsburgh. I happen to be in Pittsburgh in the month of May. I'm going to pop into those shows. Like that is kind of I'm registering my show on like it's happening. I'm putting it on this big thing. And that spreadsheet will be accessible to the public. Basically, it will be on our website. It'll be something that we'll be sharing with our networks, and it will be something that you can use to promote your show. Did I get all that right, Jamie?
So if you are already a member on TTN, under courses, you're going to see a tab that says Taking Up Space 2023, and you want to join that. And that's going to have all of the course info, but it's also going to have the chat area. And actually in the chat right now on our call, there's some folks saying, you know, I'm in this area and I want to do a group show. I want to connect. How do I do that? So a great way to do is to go into that group on the network and start putting it out there, because this is just starting to get on people's radar that this is happening. So start now by saying where you are, what you would like to do, and then we can start, you know, connecting people within that, and people can find you. So that would all be in the network under the course.
And we would love for you to join us if you're not already a network member. There's lots of things that are included in our membership. If you head to just the homepage of our website, thrivetogethernetwork.com, Jamie and I just recorded a video where we literally lay out everything that the network offers. And we talk about the Thriving Artist Map and how, you know, this is a whole yearly journey that we would love to take you on, that we would love for you to join us in, and that we do believe it will help your art career to thrive if you participate. If you're not already a member, you can join for $45 a month, or $395 is our annual fee. And again, all of these things are included: Art and Tea, our weekly challenges, the Taking Up Space course, and all of those resources, the virtual art residencies, and lots more things there.
You take it, girl. I'm chatting away
Busy
with
in the chat.
people.
All right. Well, together we really believe that we can take up space. We would love to get to know you, and we would love for you to be a part of our community and do this work with us. We believe doing this work is what will change, you know, the art world for the better. And, you know, really we're trying to break down some of those boundaries of what even is, quote unquote, the art world, right? Like we are the living, breathing art world right now, like those of us on this call. So feel free to contact us. Jamie and I are both on Instagram. You can contact the Thrive Instagram or info@thrivetogethernetwork.com. Our email is really the best place because, you know, sometimes I lose track of Instagram DMs. Anybody else? So now we're going to open it up to questions. And I did want to address one question that I know that came up last year, and it just is something that kind of popped in my head as we were talking about membership. You do not, like, if you want to host a group show, say of 10 artists in Fort Wayne, all of those artists do not have to be members on the Thrive Together Network to participate in that show. Obviously, we would love for you to, you know, be an ambassador for TTN, and if you want to invite folks to become a member, because there's lots of other great things that we're doing, and have them join you on there, like that is a good opportunity to do that. But, you know, really we just want the host or kind of the point person at a minimum on the network, obviously, like, we're not really looking for folks participating and taking up space who are not at least in some way connected to TTN and who are taking advantage of, this program and this resource. But certainly if you're doing a group show, not everybody has to be a network member to participate. You can invite, other artists in your
Someone-
area.
Someone does, though, to have access to all of like the registration and stuff. So, and I will say, Thrive members and this community are go-getters and community-focused people. So I think it is easier if there are a few of you that are members, because I've heard nothing but amazing things from folks that have worked with people from TTN and that have worked with each other. So yeah, if someone wants to, be in your show and they would be a good fit for the community, I would definitely get them on board. Any questions? If you have a question, you're welcome to like unmute and ask. People who have done this before, did we answer everything? You think? Is it clear? Are you excited to do it again? You're just signing up for more work. You all know that, right? Okay.
Well, we must have really covered all the bases here, Jamie.
Hey.
I'm trying to think of what are some of the questions that came up last year.
Okay, this is a great question. Thank you, Alex. This is great. In our commitment form, how specific do we need to be? So you do not need to be specific. The commitment form is really for yourself to create accountability. So that is just that first step of, this is my idea. The questions that you're going to see in there are going to help prompt you to be like, oh, I need to figure this out. But what needs to be actually kind of done and in stone is the show registration. And that's not till April 11th, because we know that finding space, like, I know I'm doing a show, but I haven't nailed down my space yet. And I probably won't have that figured out till the end of January kind of thing. But I'm, doing a show. So that was a great question.
There's a question in the chat. Well, first, Christina, TUS is in May. Yes, in or close to the month of May is kind of the goal. There really is something about doing this all at the same time. Like, that is part of the momentum, part of the energy. If you want to host a show in October, I wouldn't call it a taking up space show, right? Because obviously we know, like I know last year there were like a couple shows that happened towards the end of April. The majority of the shows were in May. A couple shows trickled into the beginning of June. Like, that's kind of the window of, if you're doing sort of all of the same things on the same timeline as those of us who are hosting shows in May, that is kind of the point. I know, like, for example, the group show that I'm doing, we will actually be installing that show in March, like the middle of March, and taking it down the first week in June. So it's up for a longer period of time, but I'm still like doing all the same steps sort of at the same time, and all of the promotion will be happening, we just are doing it in a space where they have like 3-month windows as opposed to like a 1-month window.
And Daniela says, does membership start from the month you join? Yes. So anytime you join, it's a subscription. It's done through Stripe payment. We have actually very little control on the system, but it's basically like you pay that day and it will auto subscribe you a year later on the same day, or you can do month to month and it will always come out the same day until you cancel. And I highly suggest getting signed up sooner than later, because you're going to get your map. And that is, we have 16 pages of all this planning and kind of goal setting to get you set up for 2023. So again, that's why we're doing this now. Last year, we did all of this in the new year, and it's just a lot to cram in. So if we start now, I think it's going to feel a lot nicer going towards May, because May will come quite quick. Kayla, I'm going to keep going on here.
Jamie,
so how do you feel? Sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to pull up the video that Jamie and I just made like 2 days ago and put it in the link. There's lots of questions about like, is TUS included in the fee? Are crit groups, like kind of just general network? Like what is TTN and where do all these things fall? If you have one of those questions, I'm going to pull this link. Please watch this video. This video is also available on the homepage of thrivetogethernetwork.com, but that really like neatly packages all of this so you kind of understand. TUS is absolutely included in your membership. It is not an additional fee.
Yeah. Basically everything's included in your membership, and that's why we believe $395 for a year of all this is amazing. The only thing that's not is your crit crew, because we pay mentors and visiting artists to actually facilitate those groups. So that those are an extra fee, and that's in March. So yeah, but everything else is right in there. So a great question, how do you feel about renting a space for a solo show? The idea of pay to play concept. So this is a personal thing, but I have done group shows in galleries, but I have basically for my art career put on my own art shows, and I've done them in different ways, but a lot of time I've paid for a space, and I don't mind paying because this is a space that's running and like they need to pay their rent. And I like the idea that I know when it's going to be. Like, you can tell this is an A-type control thing, but I like that I have paid my fee. So I'm going to get the space clean. I'm going to get it exactly when I said. I am not at the whim of anyone else. I think you can then measure out the space you want. This last show, I actually shopped around to find the perfect space to install the work I wanted to install. So that, you know, there's been times where I've picked a space because it was available, but there are also times where it's like, I had a look that I was going for and I knew I was going to pay for that look. I see a question later down about paying a gallery a booking fee. I have never paid a gallery for that. So I've always gone for spaces that are communal art spaces, but when I think of gallery, to me, that is that they have a responsibility to advertise and to sell your work. So if you are paying them a commission of any kind off of your work, I do not think you should then pay to have that show there. So I have paid for spaces, and then I'm doing my own sales. I'm getting 100% of that money, and it's up to me to make back that rental. So if that makes sense. And these are great questions that as things come up, put these in the group on the network, and you're going to get lots more opinions than just that and ideas of how to go about it. But to me, if you're going to shop around to try to get a gallery, they should be very excited that you're part of this bigger thing, that you're going to be actively working with them. They should be very happy to give you that if they're going to take a percentage of your sales. So hope that answers that question. Another one is, any thoughts between a virtual show versus a live show? Again, great question to ask the community, because we had a whole mix of that happening. And especially with the pandemic, virtual shows are a lot more accessible. People are used to them. They're typically a lot cheaper. There's, the planning can be done from your home. So it depends, like, accessibility issues for you. Like, it is a really great way to open up what is possible. But again, what are your goals? What's going to be meaningful to you? What do you want out of the experience? Because they're two different things. Okay, anything else? I'm looking.
Again, just there's some other questions about other programming and stuff that we offer. Please reach out to Jamie and I. I've done my best to put the links where you can find information on some of the other things like Crit Cruise and just network membership in general. We would love to have you. It's the best time to join is right now. So you're starting the year fresh, and we get to walk through a whole year together. And as Jamie and I have mentioned, we've just put a ton of work to like plan out all of 2023 and really be intentional with this rhythm of the programming and, kind of the seasons that we're walking through as artists in this community. So definitely it's a great time to join as a new member. And please reach out to us if you have questions.
Yeah, one more really quick, and then I'll stop talking your guys' ear off. But I do think this is an important question, is Holly asked tips on finding a space if you want to do a group show, but you don't know too many artists in the area, and just this feeling of like, how do you even start, right? How do you even make this happen for yourself? And that is, you just start. So pick one piece of this puzzle, and maybe that's the space. I will tell you, artists seem to come out of the woodwork when you have an opportunity for them. So if you work at finding a space that works for you, and you just, this is a little bit of a faith moment, but you're like, I'm finding this space, I have a date, I will fill this with my work if I have to. But my goal is to find 4 other artists to work with. Once you are specific about what you want to do, you will find them. You really will. And it could be a call on the network to say, I have a Taking Up Space show, like submit your work to be in it. And you actually, doesn't have to be artists in your area. Maybe, but if you want to be with artists in your area, once you have a space, someone will know someone. Someone on the network's going to know someone. It just starts to branch out. And that's, I think, a big thing for us, is that artists, we have in so many ways that we have a very isolated world in our studio and within making our work. And things like this are supposed to push us to expand that. And once you, they will come. You create this and they will come. I mean, that's been our mandate. We thought maybe we'd have 10 people do shows with us. We thought 5 shows would have been amazing. And we had, over 85 shows happen. So you can do it. Lots of people have started this initiative with no network in their own community and ended up, doing a second show a year later, right?
Well, I just wanted to say too that today, this presentation and kind of us talking about it on our Instagram and the network and stuff, I'm sure, hopefully you're feeling a lot of inspiration and excitement. But Jamie and I, we really don't want you to do something just because you're caught up in the flurry of, this feels like something I should be doing, right? We are really trying to get you to connect to your own specific goals, your own core identity as an artist. So we don't want you to put on a big group show just because those look great and it's exciting, right? We want you to put on a big group show because you have the resources to put on a group show. It's fitting a specific need that you have. Think about your why, right? Why are you doing this? And I think that will help you get really clear on what is needed for you in this season. And then, as Jamie said, those things will start to unfold and you'll have more clarity on what direction to go, what location to find. But again, we're not trying to sell you something. We really want you to do this because you want to do it and you want to be part of this movement and you have a specific goal that you're trying to meet. We're not trying to just get you buzzed on, I don't know.
Well, and to that point, Kaylin, is the one thing that not everyone in the Thrive community in TTN does this every year. It's totally optional, and you can still participate in everything we do on the network if you decide you don't actually want to put on a show. And you can take a break. You can do it this year and take a break next year. So we've just built it into the whole rhythm of our year, but it's very optional because the show's a big deal. Our art residencies are also optional, but they're more built in where we do check-ins every week. TUS is kind of happening alongside because it is so much to it. It's a commitment and finding the space and resources and time. So if you decide out of the end of this call, you're like, I don't want to do TUS, but you can still come join the network and see us every week. So, okay, I think we've said all the things. The chat has quieted, so I feel good about stopping the monologue.
I'll just again put our email in the chat, info@thrivetogethernetwork.com. That's how you can reach Jamie and I if you're not already on the network. If you are on the network, message us on the network. And, or drop your questions in the TUS course, because I guarantee you It's not a stupid question because other people probably also are wondering about that thing if it's a question for you. So all of this information, you guys get to rely on each other. You don't have to come to Jamie and I for permission about this. Once we kind of have, opened the gate and like laid everything before you, this is your time to like support each other, to figure things out on your own, to work through things together. However, if you're a new member and you have specific questions about how to get involved, how to sign up, what is the map, all of that. Definitely watch the resources that I sent you, and also feel free to email us. Thank you very much from Michigan.
Thank you all. This was
Hello, you,
lovely.
Laura.
We can't wait to see your
Thank you.
shows.
Yes, we can't wait to see how we take up space together. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
just the square footage that's going to be covered with our art, like thinking about all
my
those shows,
gosh.
all the walls, like could they wrap around the world?
That is a
now I'm
calculation we should do this year. How
Yeah.
many square feet did we take up
should.
space?
Oh, I love that idea. Awesome.
Thank you all so much. We'll talk to
Thank
you
you.
soon. See you on
Bye,
the network.
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye, guys.